I went into that summer with so much confidence and just...
One moment can make that big of a difference.
One moment for anyone.
Wow.
That's what I said, like an interview, a home run hit, anything that turns it gives you that extra boost of confidence and you just really believe in yourself.
What is good, people's kid? It's your boy Kobe back at it again with another video, and as always, hope you guys are having a blessed day. First and foremost, just want to thank y'all for the recent support lately. A lot of new people to the channel, so welcome if you're new, and hopefully I won't be a one-hit wonder in your books. Anyways, today's video is part one of a two-part project that I am so pumped to get into. I think it's a very inspiring topic no matter who you are. As I'm sure you've all seen in the title, this list is focusing on 10 NBA players who I believe best maximize their ability in the league purely through the merits of work ethic. Again, just my opinion, and there's a bunch of guys that could qualify, but I can only pick 10. Per usual, if you guys enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content just like this. And with that said, let's hop right into it. Honorable mention number 1, Patrick Beverley. So Pat Bev is just missing the list and probably one of the hardest admissions I've ever had to do on a top 10 on this channel. For those that may not know, Patrick Beverley's path to the NBA is a story that pretty much speaks to his game on the court, relentless with incredible effort put forward. Growing up in the Chicago suburbs, Pat Bev first ended up going to play for the Arkansas Razorbacks for college, in which he would immediately make his presence felt, averaging 13.9 points, 4.5 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and 1.7 steals in his freshman year. Yet, because of academic issues, Beverley would only go on to play one more season in Arkansas before starting his professional career. After bouncing around playing in Europe for almost 5 years and proving his worth, Beverley's game was noticed by GM Daryl Morey of the Houston Rockets, and he signed him to a multi-year deal in the summer of 2013. While it was clear right away he would never be an all-star with limited offensive ability, his work ethic and intensity on the court brought much-needed culture to the Houston Rockets, and by the 2013-14 season, he was a full-time starter alongside James Harden and Dwight Howard. And of course, now on the Clippers in 2020, there honestly may not be a better role player in the NBA, hitting timely threes and quietly effective defending some of the world's greatest players. Number 10, Gilbert Arenas, Agent Zero. While Gilbert Arenas is a player that a lot of people may clown for having one of the worst contracts in NBA history, you may forget he overachieved in a lot of ways some may not recognize on the surface. As a kid, Gilbert was raised by his father, Gilbert Arenas Sr., who moved him and Gilbert Jr. to Los Angeles from Tampa, Florida, in search of a better life after Arenas' dad made it onto 2 episodes of Miami Vice. Yet, despite Gilbert's dad's goal of becoming an actor, work was not easy to find and he failed to get consistent jobs. Unemployed, running out of money, and unsure as to how he would be able to support himself and his son, Arenas' dad admits he was on the verge of tears in front of his 5-year-old kid. Beyond this incredibly powerful moment, Gilbert's dad was able to find a job with UPS, and the younger Arenas would head to the neighborhood basketball court as soon as his dad left for work to fight for his dream of one day playing in the N.B.A. Seeing his dad work a job at UPS and still bust his ass heading to auditions for TV and movie roles at the same time had a profound impact on Arenas Jr., and his work ethic developed from there. Yet despite averaging 30 points a game in high school and being the top scorer in the local area, colleges were not exactly knocking non-stop on Arenas' door. In fact, it wasn't until Arizona head coach Lou Olson saw Gilbert's potential did he receive an offer from a major college program out west. Because Arizona was a perennial top 10 team in the country, some recruiters told Arenas he would end up playing 0 minutes if he went to that school. And thus, the birth of Agent Zero occurred right then and there, and Gilbert chose that number on his jersey to motivate him throughout the rest of his college and NBA career. Drafted 31st overall in the 2001 NBA draft, Gilbert Arenas continued the theme of proving others wrong, and did so simply by outworking his competition. After making a major jump between his rookie and sophomore year with the Warriors, in which he won the NBA's Most Improved Player award, Arenas signed with the Wizards in 2003 and quickly became the franchise player by building on the foundation he set for himself. At his peak with the Wizards, Arenas averaged 29.3 points per game and 28.4 points per game in the 05-06 and 06-07 seasons, respectively. And if it wasn't for a knee injury that dramatically altered the further direction of his career the following year, he probably would have been a Hall of Famer. Now, of course, I'm leaving out a lot of other details regarding Gilbert and his fall from grace, but damn, this guy's life is actually pretty interesting. Comment below if you guys want me to make a full documentary style video. Number 9, Ben Wallace. For his entire NBA career, Ben Wallace couldn't score, he couldn't shoot, and he sure as hell could not pass. Yet, regardless of some of these key pivotal points, Wallace became one of the greatest Detroit Pistons of all time. Starting his college career at Cuyahoga Community College, this is where Wallace first built his reputation as a defensive freak, providing excellent presence in both rim protection and defensive rebounding. Transferring to the Division II school Virginia Union, Wallace established himself as one of the best D2 players in the country, averaging 13 points, 10 rebounds, and was selected as a first-team All-American. But remember, this was only Division II, and as a 6'9" undersized center, Wallace clearly lacked a good deal of both physical and basketball talent and went undrafted in the 1996 NBA draft. Nonetheless, because of his motor and because of his unwillingness to let that deter him, Wallace found a buyer in the Washington Bullets who recognized Wallace's tenacity could bring some value to the team. While it took some time to get going his rookie year, for the next 4 seasons, Wallace earned a spot in the league as a rotation player who was an excellent option off the bench for quality defensive minutes. And at this point, nobody thought his career would lead to much more. But thanks to the Grant Hill to Orlando trade that would send Ben to the Pistons, things would change in a major way for Wallace that had impact on the trajectory of his NBA career. Because becoming a starter that played 35 plus minutes for the first time in his career, Wallace took his opportunity and ran with it, putting up 6.4 points, 13.2 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks a night in the 2000-2001 season. And with the NBA starting to take notice, Ben Wallace would win the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year award for 4 of the next 5 seasons. Again, Wallace couldn't shoot a free throw if his life depended on it, and was clearly an offensive liability, but his toughness and effectiveness against some of the most dominant players in the NBA made him one of the most valuable players in the NBA. Winning the NBA championship in 2004 with the Detroit Pistons, Wallace etched his name in history by delivering an 18-point, 22-rebound performance in Game 5 against Shaquille O'Neal and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now awaiting his name to be called to the Hall of Fame, Wallace remains one of the classic examples of delivering hard work over anything. Number 8, Karl Malone. Before people get confused and think this list is going to strictly focus on the most talent efficient players, think again. On the contrary, Karl Malone's deserved spot on this list speaks to what I believe to be an amazing look at how one player maximized his entire ability through an incredible work ethic and routine over 20 years. As the youngest of 9 children, Malone's hunger to work for his blessings was a literal part of his life, hunting and fishing his way through his childhood and working on a farm to support his family. Perhaps unknown to himself at the time was the work ethic that this instilled on him would transfer over to his basketball game, as Malone quickly became one of the best hoopers in the local area. Deciding to stay close to home for college, Karl played his college ball at Louisiana Tech University and was the critical reason as to why the team made the NCAA tournament for the first time in its program's history. In the 1985 NBA draft, Malone would be selected by the Utah Jazz with the 13th overall pick, surprisingly low for a player of his stature. Averaging 14.9 points per game and 8 rebounds a contest in his rookie year, Malone was good, but very far from his final form. Truly believing in the idea the work he put in off the court would directly correlate with the success of his NBA career, Malone truly became notorious for being one of, if not the hardest working player in the entire league. Entering the NBA at 250 pounds and 10.5% body fat, Malone would transform his body to 256 pounds and 4.8% body fat at his absolute prime thanks to workout programs typically reserved for Clark Kent. According to an excerpt of Karl Malone's training secrets, a routine workout for Malone would start at 6 a.m., where he would do the Stairmaster for an hour at level 12. After that, he would do sprint work for an hour at the local high school school, the classic stadiums workout for an hour, high-intensity weight training for an hour, and then back to the Stairmaster for an hour to finish off his workout. Like, what the actual This dude was a machine, and this doesn't even include the time he devoted to traditional basketball training. It was because of this focus on health and dedicated regimen that he was pretty much the NBA's Iron Man for 12 years, only missing 2 games out of a total of 984. And with 2 NBA MVPs, 14 All-Stars, 11 All-NBA first-team selections, and the second most points scored ever in the NBA, his nickname the Mailman may just be the most fitting nickname in league history. Number 7, J.J. Redick. One of the most hated college basketball players of all time. It is amazing to think J.J. Redick is still doing his thing in the NBA. From his time as a freshman at Duke, you knew right away this player was not going to be your typical college player. After an incredible career at Duke, in which he became the school's all-time leading scorer, Redick was selected with the 11th pick in the NBA draft to the Orlando Magic. While he made it into the lottery, there were a bunch of people skeptical of whether Redick had what it could take to handle the added size and length of NBA competition. He was only 6'4" without shoes, and his wingspan was 6'3", an ominous sign for most aspiring prospects at the shooting guard position. And after his first 3 seasons in the league, a lot of draft scouts that called Redick a future bust were feeling pretty good about their prediction, as his lack of defense and limited offensive game placed him squarely on the bench next to head coach Stan Van Gundy. At this point, it was quite arguably the end of the road for Redick as an NBA player if something didn't change quick. So instead of doubling down on requesting a trade and calling out his coach for the lack of minutes like he did previously, Redick got to work and began to focus on his weaknesses, improving his defensive awareness, getting his body into elite shape, and making every movement count when he's on the court. Soon enough, Van Gundy began to give Redick minutes, and his game became appreciated by his teammates and fans. No longer was JJ just the best shooter when he was on the court, he was also the player that carried one of the top basketball IQs in the entire NBA. After signing with the Clippers in 2013 at a 4-year $27 million price tag, Redick's work ethic was finally on full display, improving his game incrementally year by year alongside Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. By the time he was in LA, the secret was out on Redick's hard work, and he became a fan favorite. No matter who you are, you can't tell me you don't love a player like JJ Redick, who has grinded his way through 14 seasons in the NBA. Pretty nuts if you ask me. Number 6, Earl Boykins. Last but not least on part 1 of this list of top 10 players that proved hard work beats talent is none other than the second smallest guy to ever don an NBA jersey, Earl Boykins. While Earl's love for basketball was unmatched by any sport growing up, his father had him run cross country as a child to help him with his endurance on the basketball court. When you keep in mind he was also dribbling a tennis ball from the age of 3, it is no secret his dad Willie was a major spark in Boykins' development. But despite being named one of the best high schoolers in the Cleveland, Ohio area in 1994, recruiting buzz was non-existent for a 5'5" point guard. Fortunately though, one mid-major school, Eastern Michigan University, decided to take a chance on Earl, and it turned out to be one of the best decisions in program history. Along with defeating Duke in the NCAA tournament as a sophomore, Earl finished second in all of college hoops his senior year after averaging 26 points a game. As I'm sure you're familiar by now though with how this type of story goes, even after excelling at this level, height discrimination continued to plague Earl, and he went undrafted in the 1998 NBA draft. Yet, due to unbelievable persistence, work ethic, and self-belief of the highest order, Earl made an impression on a few NBA teams that let him sit on the end of the bench for a couple years, and he landed a contract that would change life for him and his family forever, earning a 5-year, $17 million contract with the Denver Nuggets in 2003. Although his arrival in Denver didn't carry the same excitement as rookie Carmelo Anthony that year, Boykins certainly made the most of his opportunity, proving to be instant offense off the bench and putting to rest any doubt once and for all that he was a legitimate NBA player at 5'5". Hard work beats talent, my friends. Anyways guys, that's part 1. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Part 2 coming soon. Peace out.